Hello friends, I welcome you to the class of business to business marketing. Today we will talk about a very important concept which plays a very vital role especially for the business market business products. As you understand that business markets are very complex in nature and they are very capital intensive products most of the time, right? And there's a lot of businesses happen in this market on a personal relationship or a better word of mouth. So one thing that is very important that creates as a differentiator in this market is the kind of services that are involved, right? So services play a very vital role in the business to business marketing because they act as differentiator for the firms, right? So who are into this business. So, what is that exactly is a business service and what challenges companies face? So, before that let us understand, let us look at the component on which you divide the or understand the services, right. So, in terms of tangibility, when we talk about generally, right, that we say products or goods are tangible and services are not tangible, intangible in nature. So, but we have to understand that not all products can be just said that they are either they are tangible or not tangible. So, to understand it better, you have to look at from a in a point of view in a continuum, right. So, for example, if this is the purely tangible side and this is the purely intangible side. So, every product that you can think of which is basically a part of any market remains somewhere in between, right. So, either it is towards a very tangible side or it is towards a very intangible side. Now, for example, oil and grease, office supplies, machinery, personal computers, they all fall towards the more towards the tangible side. And if you look at the intangible side, you have something like telecommunication meeting or conventional hotels, that is also close to the intangible side, but even more than that is advertising agencies, cleaning and maintenance, freight transportation, management consulting, holding seminars, all these kind of trade shows and all for the business to business products and markets. So, they are purely they are going moving towards the intangible side. So, you should never be thinking that a product is either completely tangible, completely intangible. It always lies in between somewhere, and which side is it more closer to is more important for us to create our marketing strategies accordingly. Now, strategies for managing services in the business markets, as I said, they play a very critical role in the marketing programs of most of the B2B firms. As they help in creating that customer experience, and you know that marketing is all about creating a good experience, right. When the customer is delighted, the customer is extremely satisfied, he tries to use this product and he tries to even advocate this product to others. Okay. So, most B2B brands provide that platform for delivery of services. So, it is generally said that most B2B brands, they actually do not sell a product, but they create a platform where services can be delivered, right. Now, you talk about high tech brands like IBM or HP or even FedEx, or you can talk about our Indian company like Tata's and all. They are generally built on a promise of value to customer. Now, if you hear the name Tata, if you are an Indian, then the first thing that comes to your mind is Tata means a kind of belief, a kind of faith, a kind of trust, right. And building this trust is not an easy task. It takes a huge amount of time, patience and goodwill and good work, right. So, service excellence is a part of that value package customers demand. Now, what is the service package? What is the characteristics of the service? First, let us be aware of it. So, if you look at service, service has 5 important characteristics. 1, it is intangible in nature. Second, it is inseparable in nature. That is, you cannot separate the service. Like for example, if a supplier is supplying and the consumer is consuming, you cannot separate it because of it's a, again you said it's an intangible thing, right. And it can be it is variable in nature. That means the same service, if it is provided by the same company or the same person second time or the next time, it might again not be the same, it might vary, right. Art for example, right, if you have drawn something, the next time you might not be able to draw the same way, right. It is perishable in nature, right, it dies immediately. So, as soon as you use it, it is over there and you can't take the ownership, it is very difficult. So, let us look at each of these characteristics. So, services are actions or performances, they cannot be seen or touched in the same way that customers see a tangible good like any product. So, examples of this can be like consultancy, legal consultancy, advertising, whatever it is. So, what should companies do, right, in such a condition, because they know it is a service. So, what should they be doing? So, due to the intangible nature of services, buyers are uncertain regarding service quality, right. That is a challenge for how to understand whether, let us say, if some software manufacturer is giving us a software, how do we know that it is is of a good quality or not. So, therefore, service marketers should try to tangibilize the intangible by stressing the tangible cues. Now, this is a very important term, please understand. Now, tangible cues, for example, let us say what is the tangible cue? The tangible cue may be a packet or the packaging in which you deliver the let us say the service. For example, let us take an antivirus, right, as a product. Now, if the product is good or not, before that you get it through a, let us say, package or something. So, the design, that everything that you can see or feel, that part even adds to the feel for the customer, right. Now, look at the last the point, the example, the exterior and interior of a bank including the layout of the furniture indicating clean and efficient working environment. Now, by just looking at a neat and clean place, you feel the bank is efficient just without even using its service, right. So, that is what that is why if you go to any bank or any consultancy offices, they are very clean and well maintained, that is the reason, right, because that is how you customers understand about the service and the service provider. Talking about inseparability. So, the production and consumption of services takes place simultaneously. So, they are inseparable, right. So, from the service marketer's perspective, the entire marketing strategy depends on how effectively the individual service provider interacts with the customer, right. So, what kind of a connection with the customer you are keeping, that has a very important role because it is inseparable in nature. It is important for the business service firm to give special attention to recruitment, training and developing the people, because it is the people who will provide the service, and the customer understands your service as good or bad through these people, right. So, these people play a very important role, people, process, physical evidence, which is part of services, right. So, we say that these play a very vital role. So, you are, that is why in a service oriented company or in a business, it is very important that you have very well trained people, right. The third point is variability, where we say that services are non-standardized, that the quality of output will vary from time to time, right. So, consultancy services, legal services, the same lawyer may give you one idea today and maybe give you another idea tomorrow, right. His thought process might change, or his way of orientation or way of explanation might change, or a teacher teaching in the class, same teacher might teach in a different way on the same topic in two different periods, in two different sections. Okay. So, due to the variable nature of services, standardization of output and uniformity in quality are hard to achieve, right. So, therefore, service providers should look for ways to automate, develop systems that minimize deviation and human error and emphasize on strict quality control standards. So, as much as possible, wherever that tangible factor can come in, so it has to be used so that standardization and product similarity could be utilized well, right. The next point is perishability. Generally, services cannot be stored, right, which makes it difficult to manage demand, especially when it peaks or falls. So, when there is a heavy demand on certain, when a movie releases or a new project is installed, so there is a heavy demand, and after some time the rush comes down, right. So, example is unfilled seats in the airlines. So, in some peak times when there is a festival, there is a heavy demand and there is a rush, but again there are some time when there is the airlines feel that there is no the capacity is not being utilized. So, in such a condition, what should the people do? What should the service providers do? So, they should invest in building expanding capacity. So, capacity expansion has to be done, because if regularly the demand is increasing, but again it has to be carefully chalked out, because again, as I said, the demand might fall also, right. So, you have to make a balance that you are not overstocking or understocking, right, your inventory. Try to shift some demand from peak to off peak periods by adopting strategies like differential pricing. Now, differential pricing, as I had said in the last lecture also, where we talked about time based pricing, seasonal pricing, where you talked about location based pricing, right. So, all on basis of this you can have differential pricing strategies. By adopting this, you can make the person maybe wait for some time and take the use the services after some more time when the demand for the peak demand has reduced, right. For example, airlines give you heavy discounts on their ticket prices if you buy the ticket at a certain period of time, right. So, this is just to diffuse that peak period people, they want to move it to some other off peak period, so that the customer is intact with us and we do not miss out on the customer, and here the customer also gains. Use reservation systems to manage the demand and hire part time employees to serve the peak demand. So, these are something that the companies should do in order to avoid these kind of situations. The next point is non ownership. Now, buyers only use but do not own the service. Example, railway services, advertisement, again as I said. So, service providers can promote their offering by highlighting the advantages of non ownership like reduction in staff, overhead and capital. So, what happens is the buying firm understands, if you see today most of the services are outsourced, right. So, even supplier management like skills, they are outsourced. So, companies what they are doing is they do not own most of the things and they only want to focus on the core areas, the core competencies on which they are good at, and the remaining they want to get it done by some outsider who is a specialized player in that particular service. Service guarantee. Now, service guarantee plays a very vital role, right. What it exactly means? By delivering service guarantee, companies entitle customers with one or more forms of compensation. So, its importance can be understood by the fact that buyers are prepared to pay even a 50% price premium for a guaranteed service. Now, if suppose somebody, for example, let us say I am a B2B firm and I have a factory, let us say, and in or I am using a particular service, and because of this service, let us say I am dealing with the pensioners, all details and all, and I have maybe about a million of accounts, 10 lakh or 20 lakh accounts with me. Now, just imagine if I am dependent on a particular software and this software, if it somehow does not work up to my wish, then it is possible that I may lose out, my quality might be inferred as a weak quality, and my service is weak and something, and that might make my customers unhappy. So, here if some service provider is giving me a guarantee, then I would be ready to pay a very high premium, because I know that I can make much more of benefits by using this kind of a good product or a guaranteed product. Okay. So, what happens here? Reducing consumer risk perceptions. So, by improving the service guarantee, customers perception of risk is reduced and it signals a good quality and differentiating a service offering. So, what happens? Companies can adopt service providers or use service providers or take services from those service providers who are much better and they provide a much higher standard of service, and they might even charge a higher premium for it. So, all this will help in improving the perception of the supplier or the buyer, whoever it is, right. Now, example, let us take of service guarantee. An information service provider guarantees to deliver the report on time to high quality standards and to the contents outlined in the proposal. Should we fail to deliver according to this guarantee? They say that if we fail to deliver this guarantee and you are not satisfied with the work, you can deduct any amount from the final payment which is deemed as fair, right. So, this is an example where a company is so confident about its products or services that it says that if we do not do it in proper way, then you can penalize us. Okay. So, there are penalties, you must have heard about how penalties are applied on different services. A logistics company guaranteeing timely delivery. It says if I do not deliver on time, like for example, take a product of like pizza. So, within 30 minutes we will deliver. If not within 30 minutes, then it is free to you, right. So, these kind of challenges, the service guarantee challenges mean a lot, and especially for the B2B market and the B2B firms, because timely delivery, better good quality product and respond during an emergency is a very important characteristics of the B2B market. How do you maintain services? Now the question is, we have been talking about services for some time. Now what is maintenance services and why it is important? This is more important for a complex product like a B2B product, right. Now talk about a machine, right, which has, let us say, hundreds of components going into it, right. Now if hundreds of components are going into it and let us say even one component fails, then you know that the entire machinery, that entire machine might not work well, right. So how do you defeat that problem, right? So through a better maintenance service. So a wide range of service elements accompany the physical product. One such element of strategic importance in the B2B market is maintenance, which includes all activities involved in keeping the system or equipment in a good order, in a working order, in a good condition. Okay. So here we talk about two types of largely maintenance. One, we talk about preventive maintenance and the other is breakdown maintenance. So as the name suggests, preventive is where you constantly go on checking, right, every period of time, like a annual health checkup. So I do a annual checkup of my health. So that is a part of the preventive maintenance. So I will spend a bit of money and I will check whether I have some problems. If I have problems, I will go to a doctor. If I do not have problems, then I am okay, fine. So this much of money what we have spent is okay for preventive maintenance. Next is the breakdown maintenance. For example, you see when people do not go to a doctor, for example, and they sometimes when they feel extremely uneasy and then they rush to the doctor and the doctor suppose says that you got a cardiac problem or a some kind of issue, then they spend a lot of money in some transplantation or some some change, some medical treatment and all. So this kind of a maintenance is breakdown maintenance. Okay. Now look at the preventive maintenance. It involves performing routine inspection and servicing that keeps the facilities in good condition. So it requires building a system that will find potential failures and make timely changes or repairs that will prevent that failure. For example, an oil change work order is assigned to a technician after every 5,000 miles travelled by a fleet vehicle. So this is an example where it keeps the engine in good state and there is no immediate or sudden breakdown of the vehicle. But what about the next, the breakdown maintenance? As we understood, it is a remedial procedure as it occurs only when the equipment fails and has to be repaired on an emergency or priority basis. For example, calling for repair of a machine that stopped working in between a production run. Now the question is, should people go for a breakdown maintenance or should people go for a preventive maintenance? Which is better? Now this is generally, if you see the human mindset is, we tend to go for a breakdown maintenance generally, but which is very risky and the risk can be even more fatal if it is like life and death of a person or similarly the life and death of a machine or complete system, okay, process. So how do you check that? So let us say this is an example we have taken, pricing for preventive maintenance services. Newtech Computers is a seller of computer systems that focuses on investment firms. Mr. Arun, one of the marketing person, is thinking to provide a preventive maintenance contract to its customers on a contractual basis, right. If customers accept the contract, average breakdown will get reduced. Okay. Mr. Arun has asked you to find the value of the preventive maintenance to its customers so that a price point can be fixed for the contract. Now he thinks that if we take that annual maintenance service for the company, then the company will have less of failures and we will be there to take care of it, right, if anything happens, which usually happens in any software or any kind of hardware in computers and all, we have it, or any machinery also we have it, right. After collecting data from its customer, you found, as a consultant, you found that each time a computer breaks down, the customer loses on an average 1 lakh rupees in time and service expenses, and the system breaks down as given in the next slide, which is the table, right. So the question is, what should the company do? Now, the past history of breakdown says that the number of breakdowns are 0, 1, 2 and 3, let us say. Now, how many months that the breakdown occurred? Now, 0 4 times, 1 8 times, 2 6 times and 3 2 times. So, total if you see, it is about 20, total number of months that breakdown occurred is 20. Okay. So, we have taken. Now, let us compute the expected number of breakdowns based on our past history. So, when there is without any contract, if we go for it. So, if you take it, number of breakdowns is 0 1 2 3, number of breakdowns is given to you. Now, if you calculate the frequency, so 4 by 20, so is equal to 0.2. Similarly, 8 by 20, 6 by 20 we have done, and what we did was we calculated the expected number of breakdowns per month. So, what is done? A into C. So, a number of breakdowns and into the C, which is the frequency. So, 0 into 0.2, 1 into 0.4, 2 into 0.3 and 3 into 0.1. So, by doing this we calculated that the expected number of breakdowns per month is 1.3. In the case, the already in the last slide we have said the number of breakdowns, if you go for a preventive, will be reduced to 1. So, it is set here, right. So, now if we compare this value and say, now what is happening? Now, compute the expected breakdown cost per month without the contract now. So, without the contract, so what is happening? 1.3 breakdowns per month, expected number of breakdowns into cost per breakdown, which is 1 lakh per breakdown. So, which comes to 1,30,000 per month. Okay. So, this is your, if you do not have a contract, then you will have to pay maybe 1,30,000 rupees per month. So, as per your analysis. Okay. If you go for a with a contract, the breakdown cost comes down to now expected number is now 1 into 1 lakh. So, which is simply 1 lakh per month. So, now if you are sure your data analysis is correct, your survey has given you a good figure, then that means it is, we can believe that whatever data we have got result is correct. Okay. So, on basis of this we can take a decision that now expected breakdown cost per month without contract is 1,30,000 and with contract is 1 lakh. So, the difference is 30,000 per month. So, now therefore, new tech computers can charge up to 30,000 per month for its preventive maintenance contract. So, why it is 30, otherwise the customer, if it is more than 30,000, people may buy, but otherwise because the price is becoming higher, so they will not buy. We have spoken it from a mathematical point of view, but mathematics always does not work. Sometimes the kind of headache that you take, right, the kind of nuisance value that it creates due to the breakdown of the machine is even much higher. So, sometimes even a small standard deviation, if it is slightly higher also, we do not mind. So, moreover what happens in this case, at least now new tech computers can understand that how much it can charge as a part of that for the contracts, right. So, and now it has a very flexible system, so it can decide, and the company can also use this contract, so for a better service and better without any disruption, a smooth functioning of its processes, right. So, I think with this we will wind up this lecture. I think today we understood about how services play a very vital role in the business to business firm, because of obviously the kind of complexity, the kind of lot of different sub parts involved in the B2B businesses. So, here it becomes a challenge for marketers to have a annual maintenance or a very undisturbed movement or production of goods and services. So, in such situations services play a very vital role, and how services can act as a differentiator for a firm, that also we understood, that companies can really become a leader by creating a extremely good service, and even by through that they can generate more profits out of it also by charging higher premiums. So, in the end, so this is all for the day. So, we will wind up here. Thank you very much.